Is there any concern that we rely far too much on very sensitive, very expensive, high-tech machinery? Sometimes I think that like these old cobalt systems are probably better with like the reel to reels. I mean, you can't hack those, but it seems like the more high tech we get, the more expensive we get. But I almost think that the more vulnerable we potentially get.
Yeah, yeah, and you see a lot of that now, kind of being talked about, especially with what is going on over in Ukraine, right? And I'm with Drew. I'm all about having a lethal, big, tough military. Buy all the fancy things. I want to be able to. Our job is to take the fight to the bad guy, and
Right.
in order to do that, we need all the nice, good things. But you look and you see, we're going to spend however many billion on F-35. We're going to spend however many billion on new aircraft carriers that are based off of old designs that are, more vulnerable now than they were before. And then you look at, the Ukrainians are taking down, the Russians back and forth with, $1,000 drones that they're buying on Amazon, right? That
Yeah.
I could buy. They're just retrofitting them. And so, I think that there's a delicate balance that you have to have. And the truth is the United States government is terrible at balancing anything. We tend to swing the pendulum too far in either direction, right? And so, we're going to stick to our guns and keep spending money on systems that either don't work or systems that are built to fight an enemy that doesn't exist anymore, and we're going to ignore, the beans and bullets that actually put bad guys down. Um,
Yeah.
so, like I said, I think it's a balance. You have to have, the high tech stuff. I mean, China's outgunning us in just about every aspect when it comes to high tech weaponry, but you also have to remember kind of what wins wars, right? And that's bullets and
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah, and well trained. I still think we're the best trained. You talk about Top Gun. I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there that can do ACM like our guys can. I don't care if they have fifth generation stuff. They're just
Yeah.
better at it, frankly. Drew, what do you think? Do you think this technology is kind of outpacing our edge, or is it like Kat said? Is it a delicate balance?
No, I think everything is a balance, right? I think we've got to, again, I said earlier, we focus as a country and specifically as a government on the shiny ball, and we get so laser focused. We've got, this tunnel vision that we forget everything else that's out there. We forget, current threats or future threats. So we've got to look at everything through that prism of like, okay, who are we fighting now? Who are we likely to be fighting soon? What are some wild card scenarios that might not happen? War game this thing out, because we dive in all in, whether it's, hey, it's the global war on terror, so forget what Russia and China and other big state actors are doing, or the inverse of that, whatever the case might be. You've got to do that. You've got to rise to the challenge, and you do need to advance with your technology, because people around the world are advancing, and you've got to also protect that technology, by the way, not give so much of it away. But you've got to have all that. But at the end of the day, you mentioned training, Brett. You mentioned the balance, Cat. And I think all of that's right. It's the analogy is like when we first started fighting ISIS. We transitioned away from Afghanistan, start to really, even though we were still in Afghanistan, everything kind of stopped in Afghanistan to the point where there was less emphasis there. We put all the eggs in the ISIS basket. But at the beginning, Obama was saying, not saying, just doing, like we were only doing for the most part, airstrikes and just, going at it that way. It's like, bro, this isn't going to work. Like, you got to let us in there to do work on the ground. Let us go hit objectives. Let us start running sources. Let us doing more, so we have better information, more information, so we can go at this. Because you can't just fight. You got to you do it on all levels if you want to be effective. And the same thing is true with technology and whatnot. You have the best war fighters out there, the best trained guys. You have reliable and great equipment. You have good technology supporting them in the air and by other means, and then you're good to go. But just putting all your eggs in one basket, whether it's a conflict or whether it's some shiny new toy, is never a good thing.
Yeah, it reminds me of the guys on horseback fighting with the Mujahideen right after, or like, was it a year after 9/11? And people were just blown away that we have all this sophisticated stuff and all this night vision, and we own the night, basically have for decades. And it comes down to having some guys on horseback embedded, getting their hands dirty on the ground. So yeah, I mean, you can have all the toys, but if you don't have the right people, I think behind them, you're kind of SOL.